So I know Blade Runner, you know Blade Runner, you know the story, but you actually don't know the story because it was based on a book, and when they translated it to film, they oddly enough took out some of the most important philosophical and spiritual questions ever made. So you should read that. I just got done reading Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? It's a choice book. It was from 1968 by Philip K. Dick, and it's about a world where no one can actually know if they are still human. And they made a movie out of it called Blade Runner. It's an incredibly beautiful film that removed so much of the substance out of the work. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. What I'm not going to do is a surface level critique of book versus film. Anytime you adapt something, you have to change things. You have to remove parts, you have to condense things down, you have to cut things out wholesale. That's not what I want to do. What I want to do instead is explain the strange process that our society has, our culture has, of removing a lot of dangerous ideas, a lot of meaningful. Instead, I want to try to describe this kind of specific operation that happens to interesting works. Philip K. Dick was a very, very strange man. He was delightfully strange and bordering on psychosis for most of his adult life. A lot of his works, they deal with police states and consciousness and just awful paranoia about the future and technology. And it's like the Unabomber. Someone takes something that is designed to disturb you into growth. A lot of ideas in his works they're there to make you uneasy. They're there to make you slightly disturbed and aware of something that you previously were not aware of. Now, instead of that magnifying glass being put on you, that uncomfortable feeling put on you, instead what happens is you take those interesting ideas and you adapt them. But what you do is you have this almost fake experience of depth. You have this, what do I say? A feeling of profundity without any of the cost. So you consume media, you feel like you've engaged with it, you feel like there was something there, and you're kind of tricked by, there's beautiful neon lights, it's always raining, the soundtrack is amazing, the camera work is great, there are hints at interesting questions, and if you think long enough, they're weirdly hollow. There's not as much there as you thought there was. To get to the good stuff, to get to the shinola, you have to go back to the original work, which is where it all comes from. It's so bizarre. It's they removed so much of it, and it didn't deserve that. To understand something like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, you kind of have to understand the psychotic person that was Philip K. Ding Dong. He was not a comfortable person. He was very much an uncomfortable person. He wrote stories where some sort of fake reality is overlaid on top of a actual reality. And we do this to some degree, but his versions of these are more horrific, more how would you ever expose the system, that the weird hall of mirrors, the giant layer of meaning and culture. How would you ever pierce through that and get people to, hey, we can stop doing this? A lot of things that he wrote were about systems of control and influence that were so integrated and commonplace within the world that to defy them, to try and resist them, where did I write this? Where did that go? He wrote about systems of control that were so ingrained and commonplace and sophisticated that to resist them almost feels incoherent. That's the word that I used, incoherent. The world of Blade Runner and the world of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, they share a main character, they share a general setting, they share the fact that there are androids and there's a guy hunting down androids, and that's kind of where it stops. The film is a much more detective noir, it's very dark, and the book instead is this almost preposterous, it's not slapstick, it's absurd comedy where everybody's wrong about everything and the delusions that everyone is under. It's like everyone is tricked into thinking that they're an android. You don't know if the main character is an android. Everything is fake. The religion of the world is fake. There's a section of the book where the main character, who's a police officer, he goes to another police department, like a giant building that is a police department that is just down the block from his, that he never knew was there, and is completely run and operated by people. Some of them are androids, and he didn't know that that was there. The people in that police station didn't know about his. No one is aware of each other. Fog of war from Warcraft, where your understanding and your assurance of things, it's so meaningless. It's so bizarre. It's wonderfully done. Now, the movie is one of the most visually and aesthetically important films ever made. I don't want to dog it. I don't want to go kaput on the film. Everything cyberpunk, neo-noir is basically rooted from Blade Runner. Its soundtrack is wonderful. Its characters are wonderful. Okay, first we have to talk about something called the mood organ. Right, it's not a part of your body. It's a machine. It might be the single most important thing that was removed from the film, and it might be removed on purpose. It's this amazing. Everybody in the society has a little box that they can turn a dial and set their mood for an extended period of time. So one day, the Decker, he comes home and his wife has dialed herself into a 6-hour period of depression and despair and almost suicidal ideation. Why does she do this? Because she thinks that the world that she's living in, the appropriate response to the world that she's living in, is one of despair and depression. They live in a weird, dark, always rainy, nuclear fallout-ridden wasteland of San Francisco. And in order to feel a genuinely appropriate feeling of depression, she uses a machine to set her mood to depression. And Decker comes home and is like, no, you should set your mood to be, I want to feel like I could watch anything on TV right now. Decker comes home and he thinks that he's furious because he wants her. You should at least set the mood organ to make you feel like you should get out of bed and do things. On the surface, it's absurdist comedy, and it's genuinely funny. How are you supposed to take things like that? But what it does is it shows this kind of outsourcing of your emotional life to technology. Like everything that you experience, I don't know if you've dealt with, it sounds so lame to even talk about smartphones or social media, but everything there is programming. It is psychotic programming of getting you to feel a certain way. I'm not sophisticated enough to describe the levels of control, the almost psychic torture and psychic warfare that something like a phone or an algorithmically based system has over you. There are layers and layers of influence and control that to try and describe them feels incoherent and lame. They've somehow built into the system that, hey, you should never use your TV. You should never watch commercials. You should never have a feed that is just, how do we get you to keep using the feed? How do we influence your buying habits, your political opinions, your relationship with people around you? You should never use those. That's so horrifying. And to talk about it, it sounds so lame. They've built in the layer of absurdism that to talk about something is to make an idiot of yourself, which is so ridiculous. I don't know how to deal with that. This is the same concept as the alien encounter, where if you have an alien experience, there's something built into the alien experience that even if it did happen, you cannot tell people about it. No one will believe you. It's it's foolproof. It's the greatest steel trap ever. It's the greatest, you can't win. You can get abducted. If it really happens, no one will believe you. Aliens have free reign to do whatever they want. What a great system. But stuff with an alien. Like the fact that everyone dials in their emotions all the time, it's become so commonplace that even in active resistance, even when someone uses that mood organ to feel depressed and to feel despair because the world they live in is weird, even that situation, you can't, I don't know how to describe it. It's bizarre. That's what the book is about. The book is about being absolutely confused and befuddled and bewildered by things. I had this, like, the systems of influence are so strange, where I saw a commercial when I was, I don't know, 10 years old, and it was for Disney and SeaWorld. And it was a beautiful commercial. You can have fun and look at the family. We're all happy and we're doing stuff with a polar bear and a shamu. And I thought, like, I felt sad. I was like, why can't my parents take me to Disney? Why can't we go do fun stuff? I mean, that was like the meaningful experience that I saw on the TV. I'm 10 years old. And then I thought about that. And an hour later, I realized, wait, we went to like Disney like a year ago. We go on trips all the time. We go to the beach. We go to the mountains. Like, we went to Disney. Like, a commercial convinced me somehow to feel more disappointed in my parents. Maybe part of that is my fault, but my bet is that the goal of a campaign like that, of an influence campaign, is to make you feel inadequate. Oh my gosh, yeah, this is such my original idea. Everybody knows this. Don't watch commercials. That's so horrifying. Okay, I think we should also talk about the idea of kipple. Sounds like a doggy treat. Sounds like a big bowl of delicious doggy stuff. But kipple is the junk that piles up and grows as a society just continues along. Kipple in the Blade Runner world is the trash, it's the detritus. They show it a lot more in Blade Runner 2049, where he's just flying over these fields and fields of garbage. They're mountains of garbage. And in the story, what's it called? What's it called when the heat loses, when things get cold, when it go to high energy to low energy? Entropy. This is entropy. This is the fact that things break down naturally. If I build any kind of a structure and just leave it there, it will break down. Everything is becoming more fractured. Kipple is something within that universe that you have to constantly fight over. So you cannot get rid of kipple. It grows and it grows, and you can get rid of it locally, but it's something that you have to constantly be pushing back. It's this amazing Sisyphus pushing the boulder up a hill for like technological junk and creation. In the Gene Wolfe works, within the solar cycle books, the Earth is so old that there are mountains and just layers and layers of junk and treasure, where some people's profession is just digging down into the world to find things that are eons old, and they'll find mostly junk, but they'll find treasure, they'll find artifacts, they'll find things that they can't explain. The world is so old that they don't understand what things are, and when they describe it to you, I don't want to get off into that. I'll talk about the solar cycle at another time. That's such an incredible work. If you have bad habits, they make more bad habits. Bad habit equal more bad habit. You have to do good habit to be. This is basic motivational stuff, but it's so true. If your junk will just accumulate on your floor, and it's a constant battle to keep things clean, to keep your yard clean, to keep friends satisfied, to keep your social connection intact. Everything breaks down, and you are in a constant race against destruction to keep things alive. The movie does not have a mood organ. The movie doesn't have kipple, and the movie also doesn't have something that we call Mercerism. Yeah. Mercer is the fake god who isn't fake. This is the part that I can't really stop thinking about, and I don't know what it means. In the story, in the novel, there's a global religion called Mercerism. And Mercerism, or Mercer, is a kind of Christ-like figure. He's a suffering hero that people have to use to feel empathy. And what people do is they have a machine. This is where you grip two handles, like one of those shock machines at an arcade from the 90s. If you were there, you were there. But you grip these handles and you are neurologically linked with every other person on the planet who's using a empathy box at that time. And what happens during this experience is you witness somebody, Mercer, is it William Mercer? What the fuck is his name? Wilbur Mercer. You experience Wilbur Mercer climbing up a hill while rocks are being thrown at him. And there's this feeling of empathy, of sadness, of connection, of do your best, of keep going, perseverance, don't stop. Like we feel connected through this experience of empathy. That's the global religion. This is probably the most human thing that Decker does in the novel. It's this collective shared experience of a lot of emotions. I mean, it's this giant connective tissue of the whole planet. And it turns out that this entire experience is a fraud. Well, it turns out that the image of Mercer going up a hill and having rocks thrown at them is just an old recording of an actor on a soundstage climbing up a hill and then having extras off camera throwing foam rocks at him. It's not real. It's an old, like he's an actor. This was a TV set. Well, it's like a VR set. It's a fake. It's an interesting VR experience that got way out of hand and became the de facto religion of the world. It's something that did not happen and yet somehow became the big religion of the world. This is where Philip K. Dick did an incredible thing where even the revelation of Mercerism being fake, it isn't a kind of resolution. It's not a, oh no, it's fake. Gosh, that's one to think about. Instead, what happens immediately after is the character of Isidore, the kind of mentally handicapped person. He says, oh, it's fake. I don't care. I'm going to get on the empathy box and I'm still going to connect with people. I'm still going to use the empathy box, and Mercer, the experience that connects all of humanity, is still there. It is a fraud, but the experience that we all shared, that's not a fraud. The need for an experience like that, for a religious, connective experience, is not a fraud. At the end of the novel, Decker, who's almost lost every bit of meaning in his life, he's not sure if he's an android. He doesn't know what is real anymore. His whole world around him is absolutely fake. He finds himself climbing up a hill with rocks being thrown at him. It's heavy stuff that's very confusing. It's insanely confusing, and I'm not sure what to make out of it. It brings up ideas of the shallowness or fakeness of a religion, of organizations, and yet there is something there. There is something that you can experience. There is meaning. It's so insanely good. So you have a situation where the savior of humanity, the Jesus Christ, probably didn't raise anybody from the dead, probably did not walk on water, probably was he probably was a charismatic Jewish rabbi, 2,000 years ago, just some brown guy in fucking Palestine and Israel. The fuck? He probably was not a real person. He probably did none of those things. But the giant current of that character, I'm not sophisticated enough to explain that. Even something like Mercerism, where your values are constructed, your sense of purpose is constructed, your identity is constructed, and knowing all of that, knowing that everything around you is fake, that's not the end of the story. There's that wonderful scene in Fantastic Mr. Fox right at the end where,
yes, these crackles are made of synthetic goose, and these giblets come from artificial squab, and even these apples look fake. But at least they've got stars on them.
We're still together, and we're going to be happy that we're together. You're still enjoying things. So the question that a based atheist needs to act is that even though things are fake, even though falling in love is just some chemical process in your brain, how does that matter? How does that take away from the experience of something? I don't know if I'm going to be able to explain this. In Blade Runner, one of the interesting questions that's asked is Decker an android? Are you an android? They ask the question, they pose the question, are you an android? And what does it mean? Is fake life still deserving of the chance at life? Even if you are a constructed fake thing, does it still have value? it answers this where Decker's hunting down machines, and then at the end, he realizes or has an experience with Roy Batty, the big blonde guy in the rain, that they do want to live. They have experience, and they want to keep experiencing this thing called life. And then it is hinted, it's strongly hinted that Decker, Harrison Ford, is an android. And like, oh, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything, because the film has already established that even if you're an android, you're still someone with experience, you're still deserving of life. It flip-flops on this constantly. At the beginning of the film, they're going through a Voight Kampff test with the trash man. I forgot his name. He was in Fifth Element at the beginning.
The planet has increased in diameter by 200%.
Get out of there. You hear me?
That doesn't work out well. God, fucking Fifth Element's so fucking good. He's doing a Voight Kampff test, which just checks whether or not you have empathy, whether or not you're able to extend your desire for self-preservation to other beings. So if you remember that weird example they have where you're in the desert and you find a turtle flipped over.
You look down and you see a tortoise, Leon. It's crawling towards you.
Tortoise?
It's testing whether or not your immediate reaction is, oh, that's sad. Ugh, that would be bad to be in that situation. I can envision myself as another person. I can try to make the world better for you, and by doing that, I'm also making the world better for myself. Androids in the novel, they're not able to do this. They don't have empathy. You start out the book with this huge question of, is the replicant's experience something akin to life? Is it worth saving? The same thing happens in the movie where the androids, they meet up with a what they call a chicken head, someone who is mentally deficient, is sort of the lowest caste of society. His name's Isidore in the book, and his name is J.R. Sebastian. Oh, Seabass. Kick his ass, Seabass. I don't know if this is a play on Frankenstein, where Sebastian is this almost childlike innocence meeting these seemingly horrifying machines that are incredibly dangerous. He sees them as, oh, you're just another wonderful being of life, and we can appreciate each other, and it's great to have company. And the way this is set up is only through the innocence of Sebastian do we understand. Maybe Isidore or Sebastian is teaching us that the replicants are actually worthy of life. They're not just machines. They have real connection. They have real experience. But that is shut down. It's closed when Isidore finds a spider in his apartment and he traps it. Animals are incredibly rare in this world. So he finds a spider and he thinks they're all extinct. He wants to keep it and appreciate it because it's life. In the androids, they're just curious about it, but they're curious about it in a cold, psychotic way that a machine would be curious about something. They just pull off a leg to see what would happen. They pull off another one. They basically torture a spider without thinking that they're torturing it because they just want to see what happens. It is this just testing things out, and Isidore is horrified by this. They almost do this in the film where the replicants go see Wallace. Is it Wallace Corp? They go to Wallace Corp to see if they can meet the head honcho, and he'll help them survive. One of the greatest lines in all of cinemas.
The light that burns twice as bright burns half as long, and you have burned so very, very brightly, Roy.
Just insanely good. It's the bartender from The Shining, whatever his name is. But he's in this like Hugh Hefner pajamas the whole time. And he gets his eyes pushed in. And Sebastian, the innocent child, probably has this realization that these people that I thought were wonderful, majestic creatures of God are horrifying monsters. And his death is heavily implied when he has that realization. That's so incredible. It's so incredible. But they also do a complete reversal on that, where the monster gets shown to be this beautiful experience, this beautiful being that's deserving of life and just wants to live on, even though now to the child, like, oh, you are a vicious monster, Frankenstein, and the pitchforks and torches of an angry mob are actually justified. The film is confused. The film is more confused than you think it is. It might be because of Final Cut, because of Director's Cut. It might be because of editing changes. I don't know. But I always worry that there's a terrible plan at making things sanitized, at taking interesting, disturbing, and uncomfortable ideas, because it's interesting and it's provocative and it's disturbing in a way that's extremely confusing. And something like Blade Runner is not extremely confusing. It asks a lot of interesting questions. It's a gorgeous film that deserves so much recognition and praise, but it's not this triumphant achievement that the book is. I want people to experience something like that. I genuinely appreciate it if you've listened to me ramble this far. The fuck are you doing here? What fucking weirdo watches me ramble about a film? If something else in the book or in the story resonated with you, just share it with me, and I'm gonna have to edit this down. Fuck, I'm gonna have to edit this whole thing down. Okay.